The first trade deal has been inked with the good old United Kingdom. I'm not going to get into the details too much, but I will get into what is the most important aspect for this channel, which is car news. If you're new to the channel, guys, my name's Kirk. I talk about car news every single day. Make sure you subscribe. But this UK deal is essentially leapfrogging all the companies that make cars in America and putting them ahead. All right. So if we look at what's going on at Reuters, Chevy, Ford, Stellantis / Dodge, they're blowing a gasket over this UK preference compared to American cars. Guys, I cannot wait to go into that today, but we have other things to talk about as well. Nissan throwing in the towel in this EV battery plant. Meanwhile, General Motors, who threw in the towel with their own EV battery plant, is selling it back to LG. And we'll also talk about a little IONIQ 9 getting really big incentives as it launches. And last but not least, we'll get into how the GR Corolla in Europe is better than the one we get stateside. All right, so stay to the end for that, because we are getting the new refreshed GR Corolla, but they're getting some spicy sportiness as well as nicer headlights, that sort of thing. So we'll get into that at the very end, guys. If you enjoy this content, I am here for you. I'm here to update you guys on the daily when it comes to car news, especially on the tariff end. And in just a couple of weeks, I'll be heading to a massive Toyota event where I can show you all the new reveals, show you all the new refreshes, special editions, probably almost certain of the new redesigned RAV4. So stay tuned for all that good stuff. And let's dig into this frustration-filled article from the Detroit Big Three. A group representing GM, Ford, and Stellantis blasted Trump's trade deal announced with the UK, saying it would harm the US auto sector. British car makers have been given a quote of 100 cars a year that will be sent to the United States at just a 10% tariff rate. That is essentially all the cars that Britain exported to the United States last year, compared to 25% tariff rate on Mexico and Canada, and essentially for every country other than that. It might be, I mean, if you look at China, right, they're tariffed to the moon. UK is getting the lowest tariff rate for vehicles imported into the United States. Mexico and Canada are at 25%. I want to say everyone else has a standard rate of 2.5%. That was before the tariffs went into effect, or the new tariff. So everyone else is at 27.5%. Besides Canada and Mexico, which are at 25% to my understanding. And then you have the UK, up to 100,000 vehicles from Jaguar, from Land Rover. I mean, are Minis made there? I guess Minis are owned by BMW. You have Rolls-Royce, Bentley. Yeah, some of them are assembled in the UK. Aston Martins as well that come in, all right? Under this deal, it will now be cheaper to import a UK vehicle with very little US content compared to a US, Mexico, Canada compliant vehicle from Mexico or Canada that is half American parts. This hurts American automakers, suppliers, and auto workers, says this council. U.S. automakers are concerned this could be a template for other agreements that could put vehicles they assemble in Canada and Mexico at a disadvantage. The White House did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Trump doesn't want cars to be built in Mexico or Canada. He would rather have them, I mean, it's just so close to the United States as it is. He wants them to make them stateside. It has its pros and cons, of course, for all the parties involved. But this, I mean, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. Where will it go from here? Well, this is just year one. Maybe next year, UK vehicles will be up to 27.5% tariff. I don't know. I mean, what does this mean for vehicles, all the tons of vehicles we get from Japan and South Korea? Once deals are worked out with those countries, can they be whittled down to 10%, which will leapfrog, the cars coming in from Mexico and Canada? This will be fascinating, and this will essentially allow Mitsubishi to survive a little bit longer. Yesterday's video, I talked about how Mitsubishi and Mazda, between the two of them, they import anywhere from 80 to 100% of all their cars from Japan. Okay, so if Trump's able to ink a deal with Japan at 10% import tariff, it's much better than a 25% made in Mexico, for example. This preferential access for UK vehicles over North American ones does not set a precedent for future negotiations with Asian and European competitors? Well, it could. Time will tell. We're going to keep moving, though. I'll see you guys in the comments on that fiery subject. Nissan abandons plan for EV battery plant in southern Japan. I mean, this comes off the heels of last month Toyota delaying their new battery plant in southern Japan as well to produce BEVs, or should I say battery packs for BEVs, especially Lexus models down there in southern or southwestern Japan. So this is just following suit as battery electric vehicles demand plummet. All right. Or should I say the adoption rate that they thought, it's just not there. All right. It's kind of leveled out. So the adoption rate has been slowing massively in most, I should say in the United States, especially. There's hardly any growth in Japan for battery electrics. It's really just China and Europe. And even in Europe, it's slowing down. Okay. And China, we're seeing, I think, faster growth when it comes to range extended vehicles or EREVs. So that's fascinating. Let's go on to the next battery plant. LG acquiring General Motors Michigan EV battery plant for $2 billion. And LG is winding down further expansion, cutting the budget by 30%. Well, they got left with the entire bill, essentially, and maybe at a discount, but they got left with the bill, so they're going to be cutting budgets now by 30%. This $2.1 billion acquisition of Ultium Lansing facility was aimed at maximizing efficiency and enhancing production capabilities in North America, LG Energy Solutions said in a statement. This facility in Michigan began construction in 2022. It's going online this year. I think Toyota and Honda have both signed up for deals with LG. All right. So it's not really that, and it's not like these batteries are going to go to waste. Toyota will probably find a way to use them better than General Motors. I just have a hunch on that one. LG has 8 manufacturing plants in North America. 3 are joint ventures with Stellantis, Honda, and Hyundai. But like I said, Toyota has a direct deal with them as well to provide batteries for BEVs. All right. That should be coming next year. All right, a couple housekeeping items, and then I'll get you guys out of here. Over at Cars Direct, Hyundai IONIQ 9. I would be driving it, I think, next week, but it would be too much traveling in a short amount of time. I essentially would be gone for a whole week away from my family next to the Toyota event. This is like sandwiched right next to the Toyota event. So I won't be driving the IONIQ 9 until I get it in my press fleet here, which is better because I'll be able to drive it with the family. Anyways, IONIQ 9 launches with big incentives, 199% financing or $5,000 cash rebate or $419 a month on the lease. But the lease, there's a huge catch because that's $5,000 due at signing. All right. And that doesn't include that $5,000 rebate. That's only for financing. I mean, I would assume you get the EV tax credit on this, which this article doesn't talk about. This is built in the United States, this EV9 at the Meta plant in Georgia. So instead of the $4,999, you go ahead and you get the EV tax credit, and then your lease would be potentially lower than $419 in a month, which sounds like a good deal. Now, this is a base rear-wheel drive model, but that's essentially, as long as you live in the South, with not a lot of snow and whatnot, that's really probably all you would need. But an electric vehicle, it's best to get all-wheel drive for better power distribution, better traction, that sort of thing. And when you're spending this much on an EV, might as well get all-wheel drive. And your range doesn't go down that much, if I remember right. It only goes down like 20 miles with the all-wheel drive model. I'm not talking about the really fast 400-plus horsepower model, just like the 350 horsepower model, whatever it is. Anyways, we're going to keep moving. I just find it interesting that car launches, and because of the demand on the EV9 is so bad that Hyundai's already, I mean, that's the Kia counterpart to this. Hyundai's already incentivizing this. That's crazy. Typically, when a new car launches, you have really high demand for it, and manufacturers never really need to incentivize it. But 3-row EV demand is very low. These vehicles are very expensive. So they're like, okay, well, we thought the market was going to be a little bit more ripe for 3-row EVs when this thing eventually came out. And here we are. And the market is not more ripe for 3-row EVs. However, that doesn't mean I won't love this vehicle. I love the Kia EV9 as one of the more impressive EVs I've driven in the past couple of years, the EV9, and I'm sure I'll love the IONIQ 9 as well. except I don't know if I like the styling as much on the IONIQ 9 compared to the EV9, but I'll wait till I get my hands on it. Corolla Cross gets updated for Europe, and this article came out the same day as the updated North American model. Check out these headlights. Look how much more fancy they are compared to ours. All right, ours just has like a single daytime running light here, and this has some cool combination lights going on. Well, the rear tail lights kind of have this new Tesla Model 3 look going on, like the reverse lobster claw sort of thing. So that is kind of cool. They get better tail lights than we do, better headlights. Here's the thing. I think this model will come to the United States, just not this year, and I'll explain why. This is a Corolla Cross GR Sport. We currently have 0 GR Sports in the United States, but that is changing. All right. You heard it here first. Think I've mentioned this already, but maybe not. But you're hearing it here first right now. The new RAV4, the redesigned RAV4, we're getting a redesign announcement in the next couple of weeks. I'm almost certain of it. There will be a GR Sport RAV4 for the United States and probably for the global market as well. I just see Toyota in the United States saying, hey, let's not jump the gun. Let's save the GR Sport big announcement for the new RAV4. That's their cash cow, their volume seller anyways. And then next year, see, they don't want to give it too much. They don't want to give the Corolla Cross too much in the United States because it doesn't, I mean, with the hybrid that it has, it doesn't really have competition. So they're like, okay, well, we'll give it the refresh that Australia and Southeast Asia had, which Europe and the United States is finally now getting, and Japan is finally, ironically, right? This refresh front end, besides the headlights, right? Ooh, and do they have an illuminated grille? Is a grille illuminated or is it just a reflection? I don't know. Anyways, this general design, not the headlights, but the general design here has been available for over a year, I think, in Southeast Asia and Australia. We're just now getting it on the Corolla Cross stateside because this vehicle launched in the States after the initial launch in Southeast Asia. I want to say it launched in Thailand or something, the Corolla Cross. Yeah, that looks like a light bar, guys. We're definitely not getting a light bar. But it looks pretty cool. Yes, they're going to save the GR Sport Corolla Cross probably for a year or two from now to debut on this vehicle in the United States while Europe gets it there. Europe has already got GR Sport RAV4s in the past. The RAV4 hybrid, plug-in hybrid, for example, there's been GR Sport models of that. There's GR Sport models of, I think, the Yaris and maybe the Yaris Cross. All right. And maybe even the Corolla over there. Toyota, for the United States, we're going to get GR Sport with a cool badge on the RAV4 first happening, or at least announced this year. Okay, so it's exciting. It's cool. They took the light bar out of here, though, which I don't know how to feel about that. I feel like it takes a step back. And honestly, I don't like the looks that much of this GR Sport Corolla Cross. They take the looks too much from the GR Corolla, and it just... I already think the GR Corolla took a step back in the looks with the small refresh from 24 to 25. The 25s look worse, and they're taking the 25 front end and putting it here, and you're getting rid of the fog lights. That's something they also did on the GR Corolla when they went to this gaping front end. So I like the cute little fog lights here at the bottom. Well, when you get the sportier model, which you would think would have fog lights, does not have fog lights, all right? And you get your light bar taken away, which I understand. Maybe it's a lesser equipped model, the GR Sport, compared to this limited or whatever we're looking here. It'll say on the back of the vehicle. It just says high grade. They do their grades different over there. So it just says high grade, which would be like an XLE or possibly even a limited, because I wouldn't be surprised if you had something like a like ventilated seats in here. Let's see if we can find that. All right, we downloaded the high res. Oh no, you have like a 360 camera in here. You're also going to have parking, like a self-parking feature. And let's see here. Do we have, where are those heated seats? I thought the heated seat button was somewhere in here in the United States model. Oh, it's back here. I think it's different. That's different. I'm pretty sure this is different. I just said different like 8 times. But I think the United States model, let me pull it up. Yeah, check this out. They're putting the shifter is the same, but they're putting the heated seat buttons back here. All right, and heated steering wheel, which I don't Doesn't mean this model doesn't have a heated steering wheel. It could be located on the other side of the vehicle, but just fascinating how they're just slightly different equipped compared to where these vehicles are made. I don't remember where the Corolla Cross for the European market is made. All right, I'm going to let you guys go. Let's see here. It's probably, as I'm looking at this, these Corolla Crosses are probably coming from Japan for the European market, would be my guess. All right. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the comments about the Detroit 3 up at arms against Trump for giving 100,000 vehicles from the UK a free pass. Because, you know, what's really frustrating is that the UK, none of their cars are made in the United States, from, you know, Aston to Bentley to Jaguar to Land Rover. None of them have any United States production. They're getting arguably the most benefit for importing vehicles compared to everyone else. But guys, that's for now. Deals will keep changing. Deals will keep evolving with other countries. The deal with the UK will keep evolving. And yeah, I understand why the Detroit 3 are pissed off. I totally get it. But everything's temporary. I feel like these tariffs change every single day, and who knows, maybe Japan will get some sort, and South Korea will get some sort of huge break on tariffs as well. All right. But I don't think Mexico or Canada are ever going to get this break because of Trump's goal to bring those manufacturing jobs from Mexico, from Canada back to the United States of America. Time will tell, though. Thank you guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.